Welcome to the Middleware Tech YouTube channel. In this series, you'll learn about CSS3 features. All code examples used in the videos will be available on GitHub. Let's get started.
On this slide, formatting with CSS. So formatting with CSS properties. So in this module, you will define background effect, apply text formatting, and learn how to apply font properties. If you remember, last using Notepad, we already talked about this. Just I'm going to talk about the same thing using slides. Just say it. I'm going real fast because already I've implemented last time. We talked about CSS background. So you can use CSS background properties to define the background effect of an element. That may be a background color, background image, background repeat, and background position. So all those four we have implemented small examples last day. So background color, you can define a features of background color. So that background color properties you can define for a particular element, or you can define it directly in a file that you can extend from the file to your HTML using ID selector or class selector, both the approach we talk about. So I've just written here something. So here, if you have something written, so you are going to implement the style using background color. That background color will be implemented for your HTML element. So what type of style it is? This is called internal style set. You have implemented background color inside the style element of your HTML document. Same thing, background image. If I want to implement background image, if you want to implement that background image, you can implement using background repeat X, so that image will be repeated in X-axis. If you use repeat Y, image will be repeated in Y-axis, right? If you don't want to repeat, then no repeat. Then background position come into picture. If I want to position a particular image, top left, right top, or left top, right bottom, or left bottom, or center. Any one of the position you can select. Based on that, you can position a particular image in your page using background position, one of the CSS attribute. And we have implemented it last day, if you remember. Okay, now we can going with fine background. Okay, leave it this text formatting. Text formatting, we have text color, text alignment, text decoration, transformation, and indentation. Text color, as you know, we are defining the color for an element. We can define the alignment, means left, right. So as you define the CSS style for an HTML element, then that style will be implemented for that element. Text decoration, right? So you can, to text decoration mainly, as we talked about, if you remember, that if I want to use text decoration property, so there is overline, underline, and line throw. I have not implemented it last day. So this text decoration is nothing but the text will come overline for that text that is defined inside the P element. The text will come with underline for the text that you have defined inside P element, and it will come right. So based on the style that you have defined, based on the text that is defined inside the P element in your HTML document, it will look like that, right? So you have implemented, so H1 underline, H2 overline, and P line through. So it should come like this. Text transform we have done last day. So your text inside H1, H2, and P element will come as uppercase, lowercase, and capitalize. We have implemented last day, if you remember the same thing. Text indent property is used to specify the indentation of the first line of a text. So if you see here, some text is written and we have defined here text indent is 60 pixel. Text indent is 60 pixel, right? So what it is saying, text indent property is used to specify the indentation of the first line of the text. So first line of the text is this. There is a gap of 60 pixel. So how you are going to start your text, based on that you can provide the property text indent equal to 60 pixel. Based on that it will take the space when I'm going to run based on the CSS features. Text font is nothing but the font properties like family, size, style, boldness. These things comes under CSS font family. Okay, so as you find here, font family Arial, Times, sans serif. So based on the requirement, you are going to implement any one of the font style, normal, italics. Font size also we have can define the font size for a particular element. So this is what type of selector? This is called ID selector, right? Because ID selector will always start with has. Class selector will always start with dot. Now here, if you see this, here, so for a particular text, for a particular HTML element, I want to implement these style, text align, color, font family, font weight. Now the thing is that what will be the value? Okay, so these things will come with practice. As much as you'll work with website design, these things will come automatically. So these are the features I want to implement for a particular HTML element. These are the features I want to implement for a particular element. So you have to apply that ID property for that element, right? As you have done last year. So ID property you have implemented for that element. ID property. Why ID? Because it is starting with has. So that style will be applicable for that element, right? Okay. So these things we have done like example last day. Today we're going to start another one important. So this one we have done, if you remember that you have defined some link. I want to implement different style. So when you define a link, link generally we use anchor tag to define a link. So for an anchor, if that link never being visited, so that is called unvisited link. So that features is called a : link. So if a particular link you have not visited earlier, I wanted to make it with a particular color. If you have visited, okay, then that will come in different color. If I hover the mouse pointer on the link, then it will come as a : hover. And if you just have clicked a link, then that will come with a style called a : active. So these 4 type of CSS style we have implemented last year, right? Now these 4 CSS style I want to implement like this, right? So here, if you see, this is my link, and in that link, based on what type of action you are going to take, that specific color will be applicable on that anchor tag, right? As so that we have implemented last day also. If you remember, we have implemented this example last day. There is my brackets. Open your brackets, and this is not the page that you're talking about. We talked about this one, I think. Just see, not this. Let me talk about what we have done last day. We have used, okay, it is not there. Okay, let me open that page, index 6, right? So file, open, let me open that page. Index top, we are using these examples under code. See, index 8 is there, right? So if you see here, index 8, yes, this one. So we have implemented the style for anchor tag, right? And the anchor tag we have used here, this is my anchor tag. I found to implement that style for anchor tag. So let's run it. See here, it will come with 4 different color. Run this. Right, so it's coming in yellow. That means unvisited. If I hover, it is coming as a red. Now if I click active, it will be blue. Okay, and right, so these are some of the features, right? When you click first time, it will come as green. So these are some of the features we have. Okay, okay, just will take some time. Just wait, I will just start after some time. So hello guys. So yes, that's why Amit has written correct. I forget to write. So there is a fire drill. That's why we have to take a break. So let's guys let's start next. So here what you're talking about is like we are talking about the define based on these four properties, that is link, visited, hover, and active, right? So that we have implemented last. That will come with a different color. Not only different color, you can implement different text decoration also. Okay, or you can based on the visit, you can change the background color also. Okay, so based on these four CSS link features, you can apply it for different scenario. You can change the color of the text because you have used the anchor tag, or you can change the text decoration, or based on these features, you can change the text background color also. So it's depends on the application, which application you are doing. Based on that, we'll implement. Now, next we're talking about CSS list. So we should understand this CSS list with an example. So as you see here, that CSS list properties for setting different list item markers for recorded ordered list and unordered list. First of all, you should know how to create an ordered list, how to create an unordered list. That you should know using HTML, right? And then you have to implement the CSS style for ordered list as well as unordered list. Generally, we use CSS style for an unordered list. So just see here, to implement that style, we use these two classes. One is called list style type, another is called list style image. So how I can implement that one, just see here. I'm talking about CSS list. I'm talking about CSS is used in multiple locations. When I say CSS list, in case of CSS CSS list, first to understand this CSS list, we have to assume I'm creating an HTML first. Assume my HTML name is index 10.html. Assume as the sequence I'm following one by one. So I have to write a subplain HTML document, or you can copy from the last. Let me write HTML, and then I have to use head. Okay, and then I have to close this head slash fed. Inside head, I have to use style. Fine. So if I'm starting in a style element, Control C, and then I should close that style element. Inside this style, I can put our internal style set. Now, this is a body. Okay. Inside this body, I'll write create an unordered list. So I'll tell you how to do it. And I'm going to close the HTML. That's HTML. Fine. Now, CSS list. Actually, two types of list is there. One is called order list, another is called unordered list. Order list, if you have worked on HTML, you may find. Another is unordered list. Right now, So if I want to implement ordered list, okay, we use one of the element that is called OL. If I have to create unordered list, you have to use one of the element called UL. Order list OL, unordered list UL, as the name is saying. Fine. So I have to create an order list, assume for some courses, or unordered list I have to implement for some courses. So assume I'm going to define here H1. I'm just writing here courses offered. Courses offered. Okay, and slash H1. What are the courses offered by BTLC in just writing something digital integration. Okay. So if this is the module, then there is some different category is there. Okay, so let's define the category using something like that. Okay, category A slash B. Now under category A, the digital integration and cloud. If it is, now first category A, assume I'm talking about category A, category cloud. Fine, if it is. In category cloud, we have to talk about all the different unordered list. If I want to define unordered list, so UL is for unordered list. Fine, so starting the element, then I should close the element. Fine. So unordered list I want to create for category cloud. Fine. So what are the items in the unordered list? Item we defined using list item, LI, means list item, slash LI. Fine. So I want to define assume first cloud. In category cloud, we are talking about AWS. Okay. Then I can copy, Control C. Okay, and then you can Control V. You can make it here Google Cloud. Okay, and then in the third, you can use here Azure. Okay. These three cloud generally is used a lot. Assume in admin domain as well as on developer track. This cloud 3 domain is used in the industry a lot. Fine. So I am to create an unordered list for this 3 cloud category. Fine. Second category I want to create. Control C, unordered list. Second category I want to create. Assume this category is of this cloud and integration you're talking about, right? So category, assume it is integration. So integration domain, some of the technologies like tell me, MuleSoft, very much popular. We have OSB. We have JBoss Fuse. Right, just I've written. Okay, so I'm going to create an unordered list. Okay, fine, and right, so that's why I have used the UL element. Fine, so let me check how it look like. I have not implemented any CSS here. If you see in this HTML, there is no CSS. I have not applied any CSS here still now, right? Let me see how it look like. Okay, just copy this page. Let's see how it look like. just copy this page, right click, copy, make it index10.html. So create one page, file, new, Control V, file, save as, make it here index10.html, index10.html. Okay, and go to desktop, code, and here I'm going to create index10.html. Save it. So this is an starting HTML element, and this is the head one, and this is style. You can close the head, and this is your body. You're going to close the body. You're going to close the HTML. Right? This is the plain HTML itself. File save and just run. If you see here, it is coming. It's a plain HTML we have implemented, order list and unordered list. Now, what we want to do is that I want to implement some CSS here. So just now I told you that we have two types of classes there for CSS. One is called list style type. So there is two types of classes there. We have not applied CSS. Now what I want to do is that we have two types of class. One is called talking about CSS classes. One class, its name is list style type. List style type. That is one class. Now this class we have to use to provide the style for your HTML element, right? Unordered list. I want to implement this. I want to use this class. So use this one. So if I want to implement this, for whom I want to implement? I want to implement it for this unordered list. Okay, and this unordered list. So how I can implement the style? So if you see here, this is one of the unordered list. This is another unordered list. I have to implement the style, CSS style. So what we told like that two approaches there. One approach is ID approach, selector approach. Another is class selector approach. So let's implement class selector approach. Class will selector will applicable for the all the group of element, right? So what I want is that I want to implement the class selector for this unordered list. How? You can define here, you will just see here, class, okay, equal to A. I've created one class for this to apply CSS for this class A using CSS, right? Now I have to implement, create another one class here, class equal to B, right? So I have created two classes, right? Now I have to implement the CSS style. How? Now see here, this comes, class A is coming under whom UL is an HTML element under whom you have the class A. So that I'm going to write here, UL is an HTML element. So how to define the class? Using dot A, we define the class dot A, right? So for this class, I want to implement a style. So select this, opening curly brace and closing curly brace. Fine. Okay. So what style I want to implement? Use this class. List style type. This class. Control C. I want to implement list style type. Colon. Assume first one I want to use circle. Fine. That's it. And do it like this. Okay. Now for the second one. For second one, what will come for the second one? Second one is this one. So ul dot b, I want to implement the style for this. So what you have to define here, we have to use here ul dot b class selector. Okay, so what style I want to implement? Assume I want to implement a style called square. Okay, so Control C and just write the square as SQ AR square. Fine, save it. That's it. We have done implemented CSS for an order list. So let me check how it look like. So what you have to do, just copy this, Control C in your HTML. Your HTML here, right? So tab, and this is the second one. Save it. File, save all. On the other side, you'll find here, yes, now you have to implement the class, right? So this is class equal to assume A, and this is class equal to, take it B. Save. File, save all. Done, right? Fine. So let me check how it look like. Just refresh the page, it will come. Not coming, leave it. So just select run. It should show, right? Yes, it is showing. Just see here, please. It is slight micro level. You have to check because these are showing all circles, whereas these are rectangles. See here, these are circle because I have used circle for all this list item, and this is rectangle because I have used rectangle for all these items. Right? Fine. So this is the scenario that we are talking about, how we can use CSS list for your HTML element. Now, since in this, we can change it as an order list. So if I'm using order list, what type of order list I want to implement? Assume first one I want to implement upper Roman. So it is coming as upper Roman format. Second one I want to implement a lower alpha. So it is coming as lower alpha ABC format. In case of order list, example just now I show you, that is an unordered list. Similarly, I can do it for order list also. So what you have to do, OL we have to use. Same selector name is selector is class, and I apply the style, list style type. That style will be implemented for your ordered list in both the scenario. Fine. Now this order list we can implement as image also. So there is another one attribute called list style image. That means list style image. Similarly, we have list style image under CSS list. List style image. Right? Now, when we talk about this list style image, so this list style image, you can see these are just you have to execute them all CSS box model. So this is another one important type. Okay, is CSS box model. Okay. So under CSS box model, what you want to implement? So we'll design the layout of a document using a box model. We'll set the height and width of an element, set padding, border, margin properties. So the purpose of the CSS box model will give us a good idea about how we can use padding property, border property, and the margin property. Padding means to define the space between element border and the element content. I'm coming into that, just see one by one. So CSS box model is useful for designing the layout of HTML page. CSS box model describes a box that wraps around HTML element. Using this model, we can define the margins, border, padding, and actual content. We can place border around elements and space elements in relation to each other. Fine, just see here, please. When you have this content, it may be a text, it may be an image, it may be a table, it may be a layout, whatever it is. So whenever you are using any content, okay, so surrounding content, you have these three types of features you'll find. One is called padding, another is called border, another is called margin. Okay, so we should CSS padding. So it is an space between element border and element content. Okay. Next, I have another one property, that is CSS border. So if you think it's margin, then I can say it is space around element. Okay, fine. Now, so how to implement this, right? I'm just saying, fine. Let's see some example. Then it will be clear much more. Let's see some example. So we can set height and width of an element using height and width properties, as you know, right? Now, if you see in this example, I'm not going to write all because it will take long time to write each and everything to write and execute, though I'll share all these slides with everyone. So just see here, just see this, because everything writing, it will take long time. We cannot complete on time. Let's see here, please. It is very easy to understand that in this example, we have used, this is my CSS features. This is a two image we have used, keyton.jpg. Fine. Now this is I have implemented, this is a one text. I have implemented one class called custom. So this is image. I have implemented one class called normal. So it is a user defined name, normal, large. So for the first image, we have used the class as normal. For the second image, we have used the class as large, right? And the text, for this text, we have used one class called custom. So why this class? I am using the class selector to define some style. Fine. So use the normal. So img.normal. Why? Because it's an attribute for img element. So img dot normal, because class will always access using dot. So img.normal. What you are going to define? Height is auto, width is auto. Fine. Now CSS large, img.large. img.large, height is 200 pixel, width is 300 pixel. So it will come like this, right? Now img dot tell me here for this text that we have used, what I have defined for this text, 120 pixel height and 150 pixel as width for this text. So it will come in that range, right? So this is a very simple example to use. So copy some code, Control C, Control V, save it, file, save all, and save it as index11.html, index11.html, and that you want to put inside code. Now this is my HTML head, and here I want to implement the style. So this style contain this 3. This is the style that we have implemented under head. Fine. Right? Okay. Now I'm going to start the body. So in the body element, I want to use this is one of the image is there. I mean the class normal. Fine. You should close that. Now I have to image another one. Control C, Control V. Now for our case, we don't have the same image. I can use some other image. So this is a class called large. For large, you have used the style, and you can use some other text also. P. Apply some text on that. Now here for P, we have used a class called custom. So you can use class L2. Now, same image I don't have. Let me check which image we have here. The image name. Save it. And let me check the image name that we have in our example. So in our example code, you can use images like you can use this download. So images slash download dot jpg, right? Images slash download dot jpg. So how we can implement here images slash download dot jpg. Same thing here also. Images slash download dot jpg. Save it. Right, fine. File, save all. Now just run this. So if you see here, this is the small image. Okay. And this is the larger image. This is the normal one. This is the larger one based on the property. 200 pixel and 300 pixel width, height and width. And some text we have used like 120 pixel and 150 pixel. Based on that, the text we have applied. P.custom. Fine. So I think it should be like this. File, save all. Right. So it's working fine, right? Is the space between the element border and the element content. Okay, it is in space between the element border and the element content. So Now here you can see the properties. You can use padding top, padding bottom, padding right, padding left. So these are the properties that we can implement to implement padding for a particular content. So similarly, these properties you can implement like this, or if you see here, first top, then bottom, then right, and then left. Or you can implement in this sequence also. So if you're going to follow the sequence, it will take the select sequence from left to right. So first it will take the left. Left means from top left. So it will take top 20 pixel. This is right side 30 pixel. This is bottom 25 pixel. This is left 10 pixel. So this will take the value in this sequence when I'm going to implement padding. So either you can implement the padding like this, or if I'm going to follow this, then it will take by default top, right, bottom, left. This padding properties. Fine. So you can use the CSS border properties to specify the style and color of an element's border. Right. So you can use the following properties like border style, border width, border color. Okay. So just see here. If you see this example, here we have padding top, bottom, right, left. These are the properties that we have implemented for this image. Image so I1. Background color is this. We have used some other properties like border style, border width, and color, but these are the padding properties. So we'll check whether this padding property is applicable or not. Top 20 pixel, bottom 25 pixel. See here, please. Top 20 pixel. I'm talking about the second one. This is the normal one. So top 20 pixel, bottom 25 pixel. Okay. Now if you see here, right 15 pixel, left 10 pixel, right 15 pixel. This is the padding, and left 10 pixel. So like this way, I can implement padding for any content, either image or text or table or any layout, right? So this is the property how I can define the padding part, right? Padding top, padding bottom, bottom right, and left, right? So see the name, all the properties are there under padding. Paddings we have padding, okay, this example, right? Padding top, padding bottom, padding right, and padding left. By default, it will take padding top, padding right, Control X. By default, this is a sequence. Like this way, you can define the value. In case of CSS padding, as it is being given, like you're going to define, if you see here, you're going to define them like 20 pixel, like 30 pixel, like 40 pixel, okay, and like you can define here 25 pixel. So like this way. Now, if I were not going to define like this, use this one also. Padding colon 20 pixel, 30 pixel, 40 pixel, and 25 pixel. Right? Okay. Now this is the properties. Okay, so either you can use this, then by default it will take top, right, bottom, left. Next, you have to implement CSS margin. In CSS margin, just check for the properties for CSS also. But if I want to implement the margin, using all the four like this. So by default, as I told you, by default, first it will top, then right, then bottom, then left. So this is the control X default properties. Generally, it will come like this in this sequence. It's default properties, right? And if I want to implement that one, that you can implement using the properties called margin. Okay, like pixel, so it should be top. 25 pixel, it should be right. Then 30 pixel, it should be bottom, and then 10 pixel, it should be left, right? Fine. So it should be like this. So example here in this example, margin is being used. See here, margin is being used as 40 pixel, 30 pixel, 20, and 10 pixel. That is the margin. So for this, right, we can implement the margin as in this sequence: 40, 30, 20, and 10. So 40 pixel is the top, right? Now, right, so you have to that you're talking about how you can implement. Now in this example, I'm talking about, right? Okay, but is padding and margin. Okay, PPT, what we have, and we have to understand some more properties on CSS box model, CSS3. These are the box model properties: padding, border. So at the end of this module, you will be able to explore the new features around CSS3. So we can set shadows for box and text. Okay, you can use enhanced border properties, right? You can use enhanced background properties. You can explore transform and transition properties. So let's see one by one. So if you see, these are some of the properties in CSS3 you'll find: border radius, text shadow, box shadow, border image, right? Then transform background size, transform rotate. So we should know about this. Talking about CSS properties. So we should know about this properties, how to use them. Control V. How to use these properties in your web page, then style that you're talking about one by one. Let's see. May not execute all of them. Let's see how I can do it. Okay, so before coming into the CSS3 properties, I'll come into that CSS3 properties. Before going into the CSS3 properties, whatever we understand here on CSS, like CSS margin, under CSS box model, we find CSS padding, margin, border, correct? On the other side, you find list, CSS list, how I can implement list style type, list style image, under order list as well as for unordered list. Then we talked about the different CSS link, how I can implement. We talked about CSS text transform. This is not transformation, it is text transform. Okay, right? Then I talked about background image, background position, background repeat, background color, right? So these are all the features that we have talked about CSS, right? Now we are moving with CSS3 features. But whatever things we got still now on CSS, right? Let's apply those features on the existing page that we have done last day. Okay, then we'll try to understand CSS3 features, and that we are going to apply in the page. Okay, so let's the example that we have done last day, let's apply the features into those. Okay, so just save it, and I'm coming into the CSS3 properties, but the example that we have done last day, this is the example that we have done last day. Remember, example, not this. Medical. So this is an example that we have done last day. Correct. Now what we want to do is that whatever things we talked about still now on CSS, I have to apply those features into this example. If you remember, this page is not looking good. It is not looking good because I have not applied any CSS here. No CSS. If you just select and run, okay, just select and run medical.html. This is coming like this, okay, and there is nothing, no CSS is there. That's why it is not looking good that much, right? So what we have to do is that whatever the CSS style just now we talked about, we'll apply that CSS here and try to make this page good look and feel. Okay, so that is our first task. Okay, right? So how I can implement the CSS in this page, right? So right, so just see this page. Well, now the one option is that you can apply all the CSS style inside this head. You can create a style element and write all the CSS, but this is not a good practice. Again, I'm saying this is not a good practice. Good practice is that you have to create a CSS file and you have to extend the properties from the CSS file to your HTML page, right? That is a good practice. So this is not a good practice. Okay. So to implement that, what you have to do is that last time you have created demo.css. If you remember, let me create one CSS file that is called medical.css. Okay. So file, new, file, save as, and create the CSS file like inside CSS folder. Create the CSS file as medical. dot CSS. Save it. File, save all. Right now, fine. So for medical.html, you have created medical.css, and the properties I'll get from the CSS file. Fine. So if you see this page, so what you find in this page is we have written all the HTML element, but we have not written any CSS class. We have written the HTML element, but we have not written any CSS class or CSL properties. As I told you that we have to implement selector for each HTML element. Then only I can apply the CSS style, right? In this page, I want to apply CSS style. Very good. So how I can apply? For each HTML element that I'm using in this page, for each HTML element, I have to define selector. Now that selector name that I want to define, that depends on what is the layout based on that. Just see here, just see here. In this example, this is the header part. See here, please. This is the header part. Fine. Now, one option, generally, different approach is there to design. Under body, if you have a div element, generally we use the div element name as a container. It's a general approach. It is not any, there is no predefined. Here I'm talking about. What I'm going to do, I'm going to define here selector for each HTML element. Why? To apply CSS style. Fine. So for this div element, I want to apply CSS style. So for this, I have to define one selector. Fine. So define one selector, div ID equal to, just give one name. These are, I'm using some common name generally is used in website design, like container. Okay. So div ID equal to container. Fine. So this is the ID selector I have created. Good. Now under header, this is for the complete region. This. Now under header, we have image and navigation. Fine. So for header, I want to apply some features. So, and I want that features to be applicable for all the elements under header. So let's define, so if this is the requirement, I have to define class selector, correct? So I have to use one selector as class equal to, under main, you can use header. It's just a name, it's a name, it does not define anything. It's a name. You can use header 1, header 2 as you wish, but generally this is the standard, generally we use like this. Fine. So under header you have image. So if I want to apply any CSS style on the image element, I have to define ID or class selector. So already we have written last ID selector. That's it. Leave it. Now if I want to implement any CSS style for this element, so I have to use an ID selector or class selector, correct? So since I define a style for all the elements inside nav, so best option is class. I can use a particular standard name, like under main we have this navigation, right? You can use main nav like that. Fine. And you have different links here. So these links will move to another page. Now you can apply the style for these links also. Okay. If you want to apply, assume I want to apply some style for this link. Fine. So you can use class equal to active. I have to provide some properties inside the CSS file. Fine. Okay. Now here, this is the second layout I'm coming at the div element. Second. So under this div, we have this article comes under this div, right? And this is the main, and aside also coming under this top level div. So you can define this div as the main. This one you can define as the main. Okay, so how to define this main? You can use id equal to main div. So under this you have this div. Okay, so this is what? This is one content. This is what? This is one content under main. So if I want to implement any style on this, so I have to provide one ID for this. Yes, ID equal to just writing all the name. We'll implement one by one. Equal to content. Now under this content we have multiple article. Two article we have. Now, if I want to implement any CSS style for an article, any article, then I have to define one class. Fine. Define one class here. Class equal to CSS ART1, something like that. The same things if I want to implement CSS features for this class. Control C, article, Control V. That is ART2. Right? Fine. Save it. File, save all. It should be like this. Fine. Next, what you want to implement is like now we have header on the first article, header and paragraph and read more. Fine. So so if I want to implement some style for this header part, so I have to define one class. Fine. So define the class equal to article, right? And if I want to define any style for h2, you can define class equal to title, right? So if I want to define any style for this paragraph, that also you can define a separate class. You say no, I don't want to define any style, I want to take it from the article ART style. Fine. No, I want to define separate style for this read more element. Each and everything is a separate element, right? So assume I want to implement some style for this. So you have to define one class. Define one class as read more. You can define a class like that. User defined only. So same whatever style you want for this article, same style I want for this article also. If this is a requirement, then you can use the header class. You can repeat for this header. Say in this h2 class, I want to implement same style. So same h2 class style you can implement here, right? Next for read more, for this same style I want to repeat. So implement this one here. Control V. Save it. File. Save all. Next, you have a side tag. Next, you have a side tag. Now let's apply some style for this aside. Okay, let's apply some style for this aside. Which style I'll do? So what I want is that I want to apply CSS style for all complete aside. This is the complete aside, right? I'd apply for CSS style for this. So as an unit. So you can define an ID property for this. ID equal to sidebar. Now under this aside, you have three different div. See here, three different div we have. And I want to implement CSS style for all these three div. Same like that, you have to implement some class. And I want to implement same style for all the three div. Fine. So create one class then. Okay. So create one class for all of them. Class equal to block, something like that name. So same class you can define for div also. Same class you can define for this div also. So file, save all, right? So footer, assume I don't want to implement any style for this, assume, okay? So this is what we have done here. I have defined some selectors. What we have done in the complete example, complete page that we have done last day using HTML5, here I have to apply CSS style. That's why I have defined selectors here in the complete page. Take it as a standard page, right? So define selector is done. For whom I want to implement CSS style, right? Now what I have to do is that I have to define that. Now I have to define each and every selector's style. Each and every selector's style I have to define. Correct? Where? Inside a file. So take this file, and inside this file I have to define all the selectors style, right? So let's define it one by one. Assume a first one. Now when you define this, now you should know some characteristics like font size values, how generally we write, or font family, what are the different font families are there. Okay, different colors. Sometimes you should know color code also. So that will come with practice. Okay, and the things that I am writing here, that is based on some practice, so that you may find it how to remember all those features. That will come with practice. Very simply, that will come with practice. Fine. So first feature that I want to do is that in this page, I have one body element. So I want to implement some features for the complete body. Okay, some common features for the complete body. So that's why I'm going to define CSS for the body. Body, I'm going to define. Fine. Okay. So fine. Now now you can see one thing is that now if you see here, this is body or anchor. See the elements here. Just see this page. See this page code. Just now I told you that if I want to implement CSS style for an element, I have to define either ID selector or class selector for an element. Fine. So for an element for whom you have defined some ID or class. So how to access ID and class? I can access ID and class. ID I can access using dot. Sorry, class I can access using dot. And ID we access using has. Already talked about last day itself. Now, if I'm going to access an predefined element body, so is there any ID or class for this? No. Directly, I'm going to implement CSS style inside predefined element body. I can do that without using either ID or class format. Directly, this is another one. This is not an user defined. This value is user defined. This value is user defined. This is not user defined. So if I'm going to implement CSS style for body, I can write it like this body. I'm going to implement some features. What I want to implement, like I want to use all the text inside body should have font size. See, things are already coming. Okay, just if you remember, font size, it should be assume I want to take all the font size as 87%. Okay, or I want to use the font family of all the text, font family of all the text as assume, take which one, it's sans serif. Okay, and color for the complete body, color for the complete body I want to implement as, now we will say that different, they have given different, you can use the color from here also, or assume no, I want to use a specific color code list that is being given here that is not based on my requirement. So I want to use a specific color code. So to remember some color code like has 666, 666, like this, a multiple color code you'll find. Now the text that should be there inside the body should be left align. So I can use one of the property called text align as left. Okay, and I want some background color. This is a text color. I want some background color for this body. Okay, so I have to use background. Which background color I want? Assume the color that I want that is not available here in this list. Okay, so so in that case you can use some predefined, like this is used a lot. This is standard also. EC, sorry, EC. This is one of the color generally used. Just let's see how it is. Now this should be applicable, right? Where inside my HTML page, right? Let me run this page. Let me check it is applicable or not. Let me run this page. Okay, just run. If you run this page, you'll find the page is like this, right? There is no CSS not applied here. Why? Because I have to import this file in the page. Then only it will be applicable. So how to import the file in the page? We talked about last day, talked about one of the attribute called link, right? Okay, so you have to use a link. Then tell me what you have used last day, link, ref or something you have used, right? It's rel equal to, what you have used, style set. Okay, then style set we can use here. Forget which property it was. Class or text. See which property I have used. If I'm going to get a link. Style sheet is okay. Last you have done, I'm calling it from one HTML file from the CSS. So we have used some link property, how I can call it, right? So I can open file, open, you can see from here only 3, open this. I'm using type. text slash CSS and href this. It should come by default here. In this example, right? Type. Yes, it should come by default. This and ref. Yes, inside CSS we have that file, right? Medical.css file. Medical.css is defined inside the CSS file. It should come like this, right? So save it. File save all. Okay. Fine, right? Okay. Now, whatever the CSS style we have applied here, that should be applicable. So I have applied this CSS in the body. So this should be applicable to your medical.html page, right? Let me check. So save it and run. Now if you see here, this page coming with a background color. See here, this page is coming with a background color, right? It has one type of a border also, right? So this is how it's looking. Earlier, this color was not there. This color is coming because you have used here one of the property. See here, you have used one of the property here, that is background color property you have used, and text color property also being used. That's text color you can see here, and you are using one of the text style, font style, that is sans serif, and it is coming with this font style only, and this text is left aligned. If you want to change, no, I don't want this to be left aligned. I want to use a center. Okay, so save this file, save all, and just see this page how it look like. See all the text coming in center, all the text coming in center, right? Fine. So what we find from here is that I've applied some CSS style in the body element, and that is being applicable inside my HTML page, medical.html. Fine. Now next what you have to do is that I have to apply this CSS style for all the ID selectors and class selectors step by step, and to create a very good look and feel page, right? That is our next task, right? So before going into the next part, what we'll do is that we'll take a break for 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes, fine guys, and then we'll move the next step. Anything else you want to add? So before applying into this, we'll take a break for 10 to 15 minutes and then move. Okay, so just stop it. Okay guys, so let's move to the next step as we are doing designing on the page using CSS style. So let's move with that. So if you can see here, we have used this. This is the HTML, and we have connected medical.css. This is my medical.css file, and we have just written this body element with style, right? Okay. And this is the HTML. Now what I have to do is that I have to implement the style for this container, right? So container is what it is, one type of ID. Okay, so this is the header part. How it look like, you can see how it look like the current page. This is the page, how it look like. I'm talking about this header part. This is the header part, right? Now for this header part, I have to implement. So this header part is defined using a particular region called container, this one. So I have to implement the CSS style for this container. It is an ID. So how I can access it? We can access it using as ID selected. We can access using has. So it should be has container. And you apply this style for this. Like you can define like width. I can define it as 80%. Okay. And can say margin, it will take it as auto. Okay, and you can use some. So that's it. I don't want to use that much that I have used. Let me check how it come. Just save it and see this HTML. Save this file. Save all. And just see the features. See here, it's coming with a margin 80%. So here 10% and here 10%. Right? So this is how we talked about this container features, right? Fine. So inside this container, I have some content. What is the content? This is the content, one image, and this is another one content, some link, right? So image and link. So what I can do is that is a part of content. If you see here, it's a part of header. If you see, this is a part of header, right? And fine. Now here, this header, right? Fine. So I'll come into that. Just do it. Now see, this is the main. Under main, we have this content that contain article and sidebar. So under main, we have this article. This is one article, two, three article. This is the article part. And this is the, sorry, this is the two article we have. This is the article part, right? And this is the sidebar part, correct? So this article is defined inside where? Inside the content. So it is defined inside the content. Content is an ID. So how I want I want this article should take 70% in the left side, and the sidebar should take remaining 30% at the right side. Okay, so I want to put it like that. So in that case, what you have to do is like you have to go to this medical and define the properties for content. See, it's content, right? See, it's a content. Content is an ID value, right? So it's how to access this. It's an ID, right? I can access using has. So has content we can write. So define has content here. Here you can use has content and provide the style for this. What I want articles would be on 70%. So you can write width equal to 70%. Okay, and I want this article should be in the left side. So float is another one attribute generally is used to make it as left. Okay, right. Okay. On the other side, it has another one content called sidebar. This sidebar I want on the right side. Okay, so if you want it on the right side, so how I can define here for sidebar as sidebar. So I want to use as width, okay, as 30%. Okay, and take it on the float. It is 70, it has 30. Okay, and take it here as like float as left, float as left. Save it, file, save all. Fine. Okay, fine. So let me check how it look like. Just see this. Just see here, please. It got slightly structured. This came 70%. The sidebar came 30%. Correct? Fine. This is the header part. And this is the footer part. Right? Okay. And so we got slide structure. Fine. Now what I want is that let's come into this part where you have defined this body. Let's come into this part. See, for the body element, we have used background color, font size, font family. What I want is that you're using different anchor tag. See here, different anchor tag. I don't want them like this. Okay, I want them some color, and if I hover, its color should change. Again, I'm saying I don't want them like this. First requirement is that I want to define some color for the anchor. Okay, and if I hover, its color should change. Right, that feature I want to implement. So if this is the requirement, then you can do here for anchor, right? Define for anchor, then you can use A. Okay. I want to use color. You can use the color that they have given, or you can use your own color. I want to use my own color ID, like 78. So you can use this is I want to use here. I hover, I want its color to change. Okay, so how to implement hover? Already you know, right? A colon hover. Already you talked about how to use hover for anchor. I want to implement. That's why A colon hover. So which color it should be? Color equal to I want to use color code like you can use this. Just check file, save all. And if you see its color got changed, anchor. See here, wherever the anchor element is there in your page, its color got changed. And if you hover, see here, it will find a slightly different color when you hover. See, when you go to hover, it's coming in different color, means color same like your text. See, sorry, background. See, when you hover, it's taking the background color itself because background color and this anchor color is same. Correct? Fine. Right now, Now, step by steps, I'm just moving into that. Now, if you see here, here I have used one of the text here, first post, second post. Here I have used some text for top sidebar, middle sidebar, and bottom sidebar. Correct. Now, what I want is that I want to change this text. If you see this text, how this text being defined in the page using H2. So what I want is that for H2, okay, for this text, I want to use some different color. For this text, I want to use some different color for this text because all this text is defined on the H2. Okay, so, so to do that, go to CSS and use here H2. H2 is an inbuilt element. So I define the CSS style and the color I want to use for it. I has 781A26. Save it, file, save all. Now see, it should come slight different color. See here, right? Okay. Now, now, so see this page. Let's come to the navigation side and header part. Let us make it much more better. Step by step, let's work on this header part first. Okay, let's work with this header part first. Color just given based on. Now let's talk about this header part. Now see, this header part is a part of this container. What is the ID? Is container. Now under this container, we have main header class and main nav class. This is for navigation. This is for image, right? So what I want is like this main header. Under main header, you have navigation, right? So I want to implement some features for this navigation class under main header. This navigation class, I want to implement some feature. How I can define? So you can use, this is what class. So you can use dot main header. This is also a class. So dot main nav, dot main header, dot main nav. Fine. So define it here. So you have to use here dot main header space dot main nav. I want to implement some features, right? So here, what I want so it's a navigation region, right? This one I'm talking about. So do something like I want to use some background color, different background color for them, some height as well as some border radius I want to implement. Just see here. You can use some background, like I can use has 882433, and I want to use height as 40 pixel. Okay, I want to use some border you can use. Okay, border you can use like 5 pixel. Okay, fine. Just see here how it look like. File, save all. Just see how it look like, right? And I want to create a particular border like this, right? Okay. Now the thing is that if you see the corner is not looking good. Corner for a website like this, it will not look good. Correct. So what I want is that I want this border to be round safe. This border I want to be round safe. Okay. So in that case, there is another property called border radius. Border radius. Radius as 5 pixel. Okay. So save it. File, save all. See here, it is slight round base came. See, slight round, right? So this is how the part came, right? Fine. Now, this is what navigation region I'm talking about. I'm talking about this navigation region part. This one, this navigation, this area, this layout area I'm talking about. Fine. Now, under this navigation, I have a unordered list. So this is not visible. See here, this unordered list is not visible, right? I want it should come here and with different color, then only it will be visible. So this is an unordered list. So I have to put this unordered list here, correct? So I have to apply some style for this unordered list. Okay, right. So how I can implement these unordered list content, this list element, right? These are our list element. So how to implement the style for this list element? How to implement the style for this list element? So you have to go to main header. Under main header, who has main nav? Under main nav, what I have? List item. So I have to put them in sequence, not like this. Not like this. I want them in sequence like this, right? So to implement that, what I have to do? I have to select main header, dot main header, dot main nav, eval. Under eval, since li, so li. So take that one, go to CSS and just use this name, Control C, Control V, like this. Now here, so I have to use main header, main nav, and li. For this, I have to use color. Okay, use some color for them. I want to use this so that it's visible. And I want to display it in float step. So in sequence, float as left, and I'll take some margin also. So margin means each and every link will come with a margin. So how to move the right margin for a particular link? MAR margin as you can use margin right, something is there. See, margin right. Since I want those link in a space, right? How to give the space on the right side? Using margin right. So use some 3 to 4 pixel space. See here how it look like. Just see file, save all. And if you open, see here, see all this link is coming with an a space of 5 pixel. See here, all the links is coming within a space of 5 pixel. See here, right? And on our list. Okay. Now inside this list, I have this anchor. These are what? These are the anchor element, right? These are the anchors, right? So how to change the color of an anchor? How to change the color of an anchor? Then only it will be visible. So color of an anchor, how I can define? Same things I have to take, because your anchor is inside the list, correct? So how to define it? So just copy, Control C, Control V, then space anchor A. For this, I have to define the style. Fine. Okay, so what I want color like this. I want to use color code, and we have one of the features called display. You can use display online block. It'll look good if you use this style for your element anchor tags. Now, if you see, this anchor tag, save all. Just see this anchor tag how it look like. I have used the color. This is in white color. No, no, no. See here. I want some. This is if you think it as a content. If you think it is a content, for the content you should give top padding, and right. If you give top padding, and then it should come properly, right? It's not looking good, right? So use some padding here. So how to define padding? Already talked about padding. I want to use top as 10 pixel. How to go padding by default? It will take, remember, top, right, bottom, left. It will come like this padding, right? So top I want to use 10 pixel. Okay. Then right I want to use 20 pixel. Okay. I want to use this two only for the time being. And height, if you want to use, you can use say 20 pixel, something like that. See how it look like. Save all. Just see this. Height, top padding, and right padding we have used for all the elements, right? Fine. So it came a proper style. It came into the particular style, right? Okay. Now what I want is like here, whatever we have given here is like if you move on this, there's no hover effect. If you see here, if I click also, there is no click effect also. See, neither hover effect nor click effect. So it should be very good look and feel it will create if you implement hover effect or click effect. Click effect means active, right? Right. So for your anchor element, so let's add some hover effect and click effect into this. So how I can implement this hover effect and click effect? So this is your element. I want to implement inside this some hover effect or click effect, right? So how it will come? Same like this: main header, main nav, correct? Then li, then anchor. Under anchor, I want to implement hover effect. So a colon hover, right? So it will come for everyone. Or I want to implement some active features, right? So let's implement the hover effect. So we have to go in the same sequence. So as the sequence is given, this one the sequence. Control C. Writing once again, same thing. Fine. Now here under actor, under anchor tag, I have to implement hover effect. So how to define colon hover? By default, colon hover. Fine. Now define it. What features I want to define? Right. The features hover effect, I want to implement some background color should change. Okay. So background, it should change with some color like has EFEADD. Okay. Or I can use color as has, and I can use some like this. I think this hover effect will work. Just see file save all. Just see this hover effect is working, see, right? So this hover effect we want, so it should be much more effective. Now this hover effect we have implemented on where anchor tag. Now you will say this anchor tag should be only this, because we have used the height here. See here, for anchor tag we have used the height 20 pixel. That's why when I've implemented the hover on the anchor tag, it is coming into this complete 20 pixel itself. Right? Fine. Okay. So next, what I want to implement is like so you can see, that link part is looking good. Okay. Okay. Again, disturbance. Okay. Now see. Now what I want is like. So this header part is looking good. It is not that much. It is looking good, and this is the image as you find here. I'll come into that image style also. It is looking good, header part, right? So let's do something on this article part and the sidebar part. Let's make it slight standard. Some things I want to do in the article part, and some things I want to do in the sidebar part. So let's do that one by one. So assume you want to implement some features on this article part. Okay. So how can point out this article part? Just see here, where is the article part? Article is defined inside this one. This is the article. So this is being defined inside the div ID called content. Right? Fine. Okay. Now, so if I want to create something for this article, okay, so how it is coming? Content is an ID, so it will be selected will be has content article. Has content article. You can say the article that is inside the content. I want to define some features, right? So I have to use has content article. Fine. So let's define here. I have to define here has content article. Fine. Now for this I have to define features. Now what features I want to implement, like for article I want to use some different background color. Okay, so I can use some background color as so it's some white color. Okay. This is a color code. You have to remember some of the color code, because everything you cannot take it from drop down. It will come by default. So the article that I want to create, see here how it look like. I have used the background color as white, right? And for this article, I want to create some padding. Okay, some padding. I want some space. I want to create in top and right. Some space I want to create. Okay, so padding I want to implement. So implement some padding, like padding I want to implement 10 pixel as well as 20 pixel. Okay, and some margin in the top I want to implement some margin. Okay, so margin in the top I want to implement, assume 10 pixel. Okay, see how it look like. Margin in the top 10 pixel, and here padding and here padding, right? Okay, save it, file save all. Fine. Now under article, sorry, not this one, under article This is your article, first post, but you have not defined any header for that. It's okay. Some headers you can write. Leave it. Now here H2 we have first post. Now see, under article we have some read more. This is the read mode, right? Now this is defined in class. This is under the anchor. So I want to do some different style for this read mode. Okay, so from where I can get it, it is under article. See here under article, we have anchor tag. So article, anchor, read mode is a class. Read mode is a class. So article, anchor, dot read mode. Article, anchor, dot read mode. Right? So that I have to define. So you can take it from here, like tell me article. See what we have. I have to come to the read mode, right? So read mode from article is okay, but you should take it from the content. Content contain this anchor tag. That also you can do it. Okay, so content has content article A. So just write here like has content. Anchor tag is A. ID attribute is read mode. So how to access ID attribute? Dot read mode. Fine. Okay. So it should come like this. So what I want, what type of style I want to implement for this read mode? I can use display as block. Generally use it for good look and feel. You can use float as right. I want that read more, that can, so that should go on the right side. Okay, so you can use float as right. Fine. And the color for the text for read more. Okay, you can define it like as like this. Okay, and for this read mode, if you want to implement some padding for this read mode, okay, so define some padding and you stop and write. You can use 5 pixel and 8 pixel or 9 pixel you can use. I think it's look good. So that read more, I can get some background color for that. Okay, background. I can select background, but I'll suggest to use this one. Be good, like C13, very popular color, 046. C13046. Another is background radius. I want to use light circle, not corner. You can see here how it look like. Just see, file, save all. This is how it look like, right? And applicable for both. Now this corner background is not good. That's why we always use one of the attribute called background radius. 5 pixel you can use. So it will come like this, right? So implement that one. I want to use border radius, not background radius, border radius. So border radius as 5 pixel. You want to use this. Fine. If this is the requirement, file, save all. Okay. If this is the requirement, then you can see how it look like. See here, border radius, how it come. Fine. Save it. Fine. Okay. Now Now, to some extent, it came as a good format. Now, if you see here, the hover is working. See here, hover is working here. But if you go with this, there is no hover. So let's implement the hover effect for your read more. Okay. So let's implement hover effect. So how to implement hover effect? Same like that. I have to take till here. Till here I have to take. Just copy this. Control C. Okay. Control V, and I have to implement hover effect, right? So colon hover. In hover effect, I want some background color as you can use this one. It will good look. Let's see here. It will give a good look. Sorry. It will give a good look. See, right? So like that, you know. You can save this one. Control S. Now this part is okay. Fine. To some extent, we have done. To some extent, we have implemented this part. Now this part, let's do something for the sidebar side. So to implement some features on the sidebar, how are you going to implement? This is already 30%, and it's okay. So now what I want is that I want for this part I want to implement some padding, some margin I want to implement. Okay. Some background, different background color I want to implement, or you can use same background color as you have used white here, right? Same white background color you can use for sidebar also. Like so, just put it this. So sidebar, how I'll get sidebar? Sidebar, how to get? See here, sidebar is and the side tag ID. So how to come into the sidebar? Directly I can come has sidebar because ID, right? So ID selector. So has sidebar. Okay. And under sidebar, if you see here, we have block class for all. Good evening all. It was a false alarm. Kindly ignore. By mistake, an Android push the panic button. Regret inconvenience. Thank you. Okay. Now this is the sidebar. Now this sidebar contain these block classes. Correct. So if you can apply the features for one class, they'll be applicable for all because all the class name is same, right? So I can use has sidebar. It's a class, right? So class I can access it dot. So has sidebar dot block. Correct. So I can write here. I can write here has sidebar. Has sidebar and dot block. Okay. And I'll implement some features. Now file save all. If I want to implement some features here, file save all. Now here, what I want to do is like take it to different background for this blocks. Background color. Okay, background. I want to use here has this. Okay, and if I want to use some padding, you know, top and right. So you can use some padding. This is a good 10 pixel, 10 pixel and 15 pixel. I think it is good. And try to use some margin. Take some standard margin. I want to use top and left side. Okay. Yeah, so if this is the requirement, then we can use here like 10 pixel. Okay, and don't want to use any margin on right, so 0. Don't want to use any margin on below, 0. And I want to use some margin on the left side, 10 pixel. Right, it should be like this. Just save it, file, save all, and you can see here how it look like. Okay. So here you can see top margin you have applied, padding you have applied, and the background color also you have applied. See here, right? So this is how we can implement. This is the article part, and I say no, I want to add another one article. Fine, you can apply another one article so that it will just look properly. No, just add another one article here. Okay, just copy this, Control C, Control V, and I zoom into the article 3, and it is third post. Okay, so save it, file, save all, and you can see how these 3 articles we have and 3 sidebar content. Right, this is our header. So this is how it come, fine. Now this footer part, you have not applied anything here. Footer part, you can, if you want to implement some style for the footer, you can implement. But for footer, you have used anything? Just see here. You have not defined any ID, right? So if you want to define some ID, you can write ID equal to FT. FT. So this FT will be an ID, right? So how to get this selector? Has FT. File save all, has FT. So come to CSS, and I'm going to use here style for footer has FT. So define some footer style. Like for footer, I want some background color, some height. So define something like background color. I want to use this color, has 882433. This color is best for footer. I want to use the footer with an height, take it as 40 pixel, and some margin I want to define at the top so that it will get some space. Margin top like 10 pixel, okay, and that's it. Just see how it look like. Okay, so this is the footer, and now this footer we have not used separate for this footer. Is it applicable for this footer? Just check it here. I've applied style for footer FT. FT is there. This is a footer FT ID I have used. So what do one thing, you can define it as for this also. Let's see, I'm going to define it for Control X without using footer. You can use this div, Control V. Save it, file, save all. Okay, now here this footer is coming under home. It is outside main we have used, right? Now see, this is outside main. So do one thing, you can put it this div, Control X inside this div if you want to implement like this. We're just talking about how to deal with these elements from CSS, right? So just save it, file, save all, and so this footer is coming here. If you see, this footer is coming here. It should go in the down, not here. This footer is coming here. Fine. Okay, I'll come into that. So for the timing, just remove it. Control X, Control V. This is the footer we have used, ID, fine. For the time being, let's avoid it. I'm coming into this after some time because I have to do some more features here. So without using this, I'll come into that after some time. So what I want is that I'll come into this after some time. Let me first do this first part. Now here, in this example, if you see this, okay, now if you just see this page, whatever things we have done, right, this is the basic CSS design, how we can do for any type of website. So already I told you, remember, I told you another one important point, that just designing is not enough. Now today's requirement is that the design should be responsive web design. So what does it mean by responsive web design? Responsive web design means that should fit to any type of device. Fine. So the question is that how I can make this web page responsive. How to make it responsive? That is the point. Okay. So if you see here, just see this page. Is it responsive? Just see this. This is the web page for desktop. You are going to access it in desktop like this. But if I'm going to access it inside a PDA or in a tab, okay, it should be slight like this. Slight like this, it will come in a tab. If you are going to access this type of tab, I'm saying in standard size, generally use this. So assume you are going to access the same web page you want to access in a mobile. So how it will be? Its length should be like this, right? Now see, when I'm going to access the same page in mobile, just see here, please. These links are not looking good. See, these links came outside. Copyright came here. And these are also not looking good. Just because I've not completed all. See here, it is not looking good because these links are coming outside this. Okay. And image I want in the left side, though I have not implemented any style for image. We'll do it. So the thing is that when I'm going to access inside a desktop, it looked like this. I'm going to access it inside a PDA or tab, it should look like this. I'm going to access in a mobile. If you see these links coming outside the actual region. So the thing is that the existing, now if I'm going to access the same website in mobile, it will look like this. Just I want to say only one point for the time being. These links are coming outside, right? So that means this, the application that we have done, this web page that we have done here using HTML5 and CSS component, it is not responsive. It is not a responsive website that we have done still now. So how to make it responsive? It is not responsive because the links are coming out. Not only that, if you implement multiple images, this one image will go here, see footer come here. So the thing is that that should come properly. Okay, if you go just make it small, it's not going more than this. Okay, right, so only like this it is coming. So the thing is that I have to make this one responsive. In that responsive, this will not happen, what you find here. So the web page that you have created, it is not responsive one. So how to make it responsive? So we talked about one of the features, if you remember, to make it responsive, we have to use one of the attribute called media queries. To make it responsive, we have to use one of the attribute that is called media queries. Okay, so the question is that